From what I understand.
Or that he can't.
As long as, like, a superintendent having his wife or son or daughter, whatever, being underneath him. I know stuff kind of happens close to that, knocking on that fringe, but as long as they're not a direct boss to it, I think they're fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that way you read it, Justin?
Mhm.
Or-
Yeah.
Yeah, let's mirrors the RCW.
Okay, let's go ahead and get rolling. Call this special council meeting to order. It's 5:09 PM on Wednesday, July the 8th.
This is today's agenda.
Yes,
of June 8th.
yeah,
Okay.
we just noticed that. And I even proofread it, so.
Okay.
Are there any visitors that would like to be recognized?
No.
Get rolling. Apologize for the short notice. I spoke with a potential candidate last Friday about the second public works opening that we have. And he told me that he had a couple other job offers on the table already. So if you wanted to get a decision from us, met with him, if he wants to work here. I talked with him for quite a while, took him around, showed him Harrington. He said he was very interested in working for us. As I understand it, the mayor has the authority to hire and fire. However, one of the things that I cannot do is change monetary issues. I need to go to the council, and that's the reason for the meeting. I spoke with him about a lot of things, but usually any interview comes down to money, or a lot of them do. So that's the reason for the meeting. I want to go over his resume, his application, any questions that you guys have about him and his experience. But I also want to talk about wages or potential wages. So I know you guys all should have a copy of a sheet that I made up. I'll go through it real quick. Just clarify anything. So the first table on there has our current public works Devon #1, the public works #1 position on there. I just kept it in there just so we could see it. The second one has a 2021 current wage rate, and then a proposed 2021. As we go down, there's another table, wage increments, and those are some other suggestions. I had a goal to try make each of the public works employees on an equal level as far as wages, as far as responsibilities, everything. We seem to work under kind of a supervisor and a helper structure recently. I know there's been some comments made. We don't really need a supervisor. That's what the mayor is, the council essentially as well. So that's part of the reason for that proposed wage. But there is some other incremental wages that show down further on the sheet. 6-month total, obviously that's just for the remainder of this year. That's just showing the extra amount of money that it would cost us to retain an employee at that hourly difference. The other thing is, obviously this wasn't budgeted for, so it would require a budget amendment and moving some money around. So that bottom table is exactly that. That's just a proposal. We can change that. But obviously our guys work a lot in the water and the sewer department. And being that one of his qualifications is his distribution certification, I thought it was appropriate to use some of that money that we would have moved into water reserve and sewer reserve to pull some of that money back and keep it and put it into salaries.
Could you explain that a little bit more? It doesn't leap out at me why we're moving from water to water reserve. We base
That would be
on-
the proposed way of paying the salary if we were to choose to increase the Public Works #2, their position, their hourly wage. That's where that money would come from. So we originally budgeted to transfer from water to water reserve of 25,000. I'm proposing that we only transfer 19,000. Same with sewer. We originally budgeted to move 10,000 from sewer to sewer reserve. And I'm proposing that we only transfer 8,000, and that would cover the additional salaries should we choose to do that.
Which would be an additional $8,000.
Yep, and that is able there. That's just
Right.
showing you,
The
total amount of money.
7,987 right there.
yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you off.
you're good. We obviously already know that that top one, that's already been done. We've agreed on that. But I just wanted to show a total for wages, what it would cost. And this is only for 6-month period. This is only till the end of this year. So we'd be in salaries an additional $12,000.
Okay.
So real quick, so this says Public Works 1. We already made that proposal. We already made that change, right?
Correct.
But
That's,
so it says current though, but that's wrong.
oh, you're right.
So he's already at 2376 then.
Correct.
Okay.
So, okay.
Man, I cannot get through one of these without a,
No,
An
we're
error.
good, man.
So
but
then,
yes, you are correct.
so then the 21 increase from the previous amount. Does that need to be there or is that? Does that need to be considered? If it's already been enacted, I guess.
It doesn't really need to be considered. I was just showing kind of as a 2 new hires,
Okay.
what that would add.
Okay,
So when we went from the 2101 to the 2376,
that's,
we obviously, that was already budgeted for, so that's what you're getting at.
So you're only gonna be increasing the wage on the #2.
#2,
Okay.
and actually that would change the amounts that we pull out of the transfers then. So just the Public Works #2 money,
which is $8,000, which
Yes.
is the $8,000 on here. So that actually stays the same.
I just have
6, yes, correct.
one quick question. When does he need to know by?
Monday, last
Okay.
Monday,
Last Monday?
yeah.
Okay.
So as soon as
When does what?
possible.
Okay.
The applicant.
When does he need our answer?
So my other question is. So I remember I met their dad. So is this the son that has, does he have a water certificate?
Yes,
But it doesn't have it listed on here, right? He has a flagger card, he has pesticide, forklift, CDL. But that's fine if he does. If you say he does, that's,
well, obviously, I think it would be in our best interest to obviously have him produce that
Right.
certification.
well, right, because that's obviously we need to have, well, yeah, we have an obligation to, with Department of Health, to have a water guy, which we previously tried to get the #2 person to get that as well, and it never happened, but, which I think is actually great cross training. I mean, if one of them has it and the other one maybe can get it. That way, if these two are kind of somewhat equal, they can,
Yeah.
they can conquer,
And that is something
Split
else
and
that we are obviously paying Casey for right now. I mean, in this interim, Devin doesn't have his distribution certificate. So then that falls back onto our contract operator. So that's something to consider too, the amount of money that would go out towards that.
Do you know a figure that we're paying her extra? Or is it the
I want to
same?
say it was
Yeah.
400.
Per month?
Yes,
Okay.
looking at
just got that email.
his experience, though, I mean, he's got like street experience, crack seal, asphalt paving, potholes,
Signage.
sign fabrication,
Yeah.
culverts, litter bags, and then water experience, fix broken water line, service line, dig up meter boxes, replace frozen and broken meters, dig up buried valves, flush hydrants, read meters. I mean, that's,
And when we get to that, there's kind of a proposal by Derek himself about some logistics, I guess, if he were to be hired. So I think I'll wait on that. We'll go through anything else, but. I know that's a big difference. That's a big jump, and I solely understand that. My goal, there's two goals here. One is to obviously retain another employee. The second one for me is I would like to get this structured so that both of those employees are on the same level, same playing field.
Qualified.
Quality, qualifications, and just as far as pay, we know where we're at going forward. They're both equal employees. There's, I know there's been mention of the supervisor thing. We have a supervisor. We only have theoretically two employees, I guess 3 full-time with Jerry, but to have one of those as a supervisor has been talked about. And so those are the two reasons for what I see a pretty big jump in wages. But I'd be open to,
Well, I think historically, Peter and Levi would know more, but I saw it too. But Paul, like you said earlier, the mayor acts as a supervisor.
Yeah.
Paul, I don't know, I mean, you do just, I tried to, but, and so as long as, I would say the next person in line, can't think of his name.
Devin.
No, the mayor, the guy.
Jess.
Oh, Jeff.
Jess, sorry, that Jess obviously is on board with that, but I mean, that's what Paul, I mean, that's essentially why we didn't have to have a group 2. Paul made a deal with
Mhm.
ecology that he would be, because he knew it so well. So, I mean, I think there is a history of the mayor being the supervisor. That was something that I had to try to, I worked with Bunny quite a bit to try to schedule those things, like to schedule, manage the maintenance schedule or whatever, which you've been doing too, and probably more so now. So I don't have, I mean, personally, I guess I don't have a problem with having two equals.
Is that a fair justification for looking at it that way, to have both those guys? What is the justification for one not being paid the same as the other? I mean, maybe your certificates, but in this particular case, and hopefully going forward, those
Well-
either offset each other or they both have the same ones.
They both bring to the table a lot of qualifications,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, yeah, one is
And you-
water and one is sewer. So
But just their experience and everything they have here. They're just not a warm body that needs a job.
Yeah.
And I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but they're more tech oriented. I mean, with experience here.
Job related experience.
They're
Yes.
perfectly qualified for what we're looking for.
I think that we learned a lesson with the last employment situation where having all the information with one person isn't in the best interest for the city.
No.
No.
Because then it's all held in one brain, right? And so, so having 2 people with complementary knowledge and experience, so it's not all held in one basically all your eggs in one basket, is beneficial. So,
Right.
A little bit on the logistics side too, that talking to Derek, he proposed, nothing in writing, nothing hard, but kind of a logistical standpoint is to have one guy mainly, obviously, there's a lot of things that they're gonna need to do together. There's only 2 people and there's a lot of jobs that are required to, but one of the proposals was to kind of have one guy on the sewer side and take care of that on a normal basis, and then another guy on the water side, obviously.
Kevin, I proposed to you some time ago, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's essentially what he said, is so that they could each have their kind of own specialty area, and then anything in between, they meet in the middle and help each other out there. I mean, it's not like they'd be working
Perfect.
alone all day, but that was kind of his proposal.
Question, he has electrical experience, no electrical license, correct?
Not that I saw, no, not that we talked about.
Have any of our previous city employees had that qualification? Just out of curiosity.
I don't really know the answer to that, to be honest with
Okay.
you.
I know the last 2 hadn't.
Right.
I don't know about Ted. I don't know who was before Ted. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
I
people
mean,
that
I
work
don't-
for me.
Certifications, I don't think so, but experience possibly.
So this applicant is a brother to our current employee.
That is correct.
How long has our current employee been aboard? Couple of weeks.
Yeah, about 3, what was he on the 8th, almost right at a month?
21st when we started. Right?
21st when he started, we hired him, I think.
It's 2 weeks prior to that.
Yeah, it was- yeah,
Do we have any
It's been
idea
the seventh, it's been a month since we hired him.
yeah.
what the applicant studied or majored in at Columbia Basin College?
Fire science. So
Yeah, I don't know if that's directly attached to the fire science, Peter, or if that's something different.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. I think TriTech Skills Center was for fire science, and then something else was at Columbia Basin.
His application says education and training. It just says Class A CDL, Flaggers card, water distribution certification 1, and pesticides license.
and I know that they just don't hand those out.
So you probably,
No.
so you might, oh, those are technical schools. They might have a program, right? Like
Yeah,
a flagger program, I don't know.
or even prior job training certifications.
Um,
And you said he had a pesticide license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
herbicide both.
Which that's the deal we've had to pay for the last several years because Scott didn't have his anymore.
Right.
And so we spent,
Although we've already theoretically covered that with
Sure.
Public Works position 1. So I have a few questions.
Sure.
So forgive me if any of this was covered, but I was dinking with making sure that.
No,
that
that's
was working. So basically, they're sitting as the counterparts, is that what we have is sewer, this one would be water. Does he have all the water certifications and capabilities we need? Is there anything missing on the water side?
Not that I know of. There's the one that he has is the only one that I'm aware.
water
we-
distribution certification
Yeah.
1. I think is what we had, the exist, that's what Scott had.
I guess I can't argue with the benefits. My concern is the precedent and going forward of paying 2 similar level employees and then theoretically giving similar level increases. We're basically doubling our commitment there. So a few thoughts, I guess, with it is that, one, I would prefer to see that it be made clear to Derek that not all of the same certifications as there were for Devin would be on the table for him. So for instance, we talked about when we hired Devin, that one of the opportunities for him would be to get some of the full wastewater certifications and stuff. I'm not interested in the pay, because keep in mind, what was it, $27 or $28 an hour would be the cap that we calculated when we met to discuss Devin, to say that if he went and got all his certifications, we'd be paying that much an hour.
It was around
Correct.
that.
I'm not looking to double up that on Public Works too. The
Understand.
concept of anything that's applicable to his area of focus, that concept I think would still be in play, but to say that to double up some of these certifications, just to say that we're double covered, I don't know if we can necessarily afford that luxury. So his cap may not be as high as his brother's in the
Sure.
end, because of the certification add-ins on that. Second of all, how much do we pay to read meters?
13.
It's, yeah, hourly.
Well, a year-ish.
Meter reader.
Well, a month, it's like what, 145?
Yeah,
That's true. It is on Shelby's. Well, of course, I don't know how much of that is meter reading and how much of that is their.
It's a separate check.
Yeah, they should be separated.
I think it's under $200.
One of them.
That was another
That's
proposal.
that's the.
I don't know if that's kind of where you're going, but.
I'm
that
just
was a
looking for
proposal.
ways to try and pay for this. And on one hand, in case anyone's wanting to bring this up, to have someone at this person's level read meters is somewhat beneath them, but I'm just concerned. It's a 10 grand jump per year.
Mhm.
And we don't have, it'd be one thing if we could say, well, we'll just go to the public and tell them that we're raising sales tax or something like that. But we have very few controls over what we can raise, right? And we're already being examined closely on the raises that we do go for. So I get the benefits. I'm looking for a way to say yes. I think we can find a way to say yes, but I think that might be something we need to add in. And I guess if I was in his position, if I was focused on the water primarily, I'd use that as an opportunity for inspection at the same time that I'd look at the streets and I look at the meters and the conditions of them. And I do more than, Shelby's probably not looking with an eye to maintaining the system. And so I think there could be some degree of benefit to having the person maintaining the system being the meter reader as an opportunity to inspect the system on a regular basis.
And that was the proposal. Again, not just that he had mentioned about doing that, that's something that he previously had experienced elsewhere, that he thought that would be, your point, a good part for them to do.
Yeah.
So we've had, again, to be proactive, we've had it in the budget the last few years to replace meters, which we haven't. Partly, I would say, because we don't have, like you just said, the front end looking at the back end. So this is one person
Mhm.
who then sees the front end and the back end. So he's going to be able to help identify which ones need to be replaced when, and can pick those 10% every year,
Yeah.
and has a hand in that. And he's going to know, he has the technical, and he's done it already. It looks like he's dug up meters, replaced frozen or broken meters. So he's going to be like this one. He's already going to be able to see this telltale signs of this one's rusted out, where, like you just mentioned, the current meter reader is probably looking at those 12 numbers or 6 numbers and just be,
Right.
so.
And then I guess the last thing that I would bring up with it is I saw that on his list of things there, he said that he done flushing of hydrants.
That's the first thing that popped out to me.
Because I know we've had that discussion, and I think that probably could be a beneficial thing. I don't think I've ever seen the hydrant by my house on.
None of them have been turned on that I can remember since I was a little kid.
So the question that starts to
There was
form in-
one that was turned on when the fire happened over
Well,
there 3
that's
years ago.
true.
They used to.
But there's
At
a
his
question
house.
that comes up
12
in
years
my
old
head
was
is
last
that
time
now
I
that we're
remember.
annexed into the fire district, do we fully own the hydrants and the maintenance of them? And I would guess that we do, but on the other hand, if there was a fire and the fire district uses our hydrants and our water to fight it, is that something, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be this way, I'm just curious, is this something where they pay us back for the water, or is that considered forfeit that for the good of the town? We automatically give free water in the case of, because I guess what I'm wondering is there any type, does the fire district have an interest in seeing a city employee try and maintain the hydrants? And is that anything they would give a consideration for? Or is that inherently our concern all the way through? I honestly don't know.
I'm in the same boat. I don't know exactly what rules are written or how that's set up, but in my opinion, that's still property of the city water system as far as the maintenance goes. Now, could there be a deal worked out between the two to every other year we do it, you do it, or we split them and do it every year, however that's worked out. But as far as I see it, in my opinion, is that's still part of our inventory. That's our maintenance, our responsibility. The water, I don't know there as far as paying for water. I think as it stands
Well,
now,
and that's a
they get free water to,
separate.
Fight fires.
Fight fire.
I mean, I don't know the meter, I don't know how you would.
No, I'm not saying they should. I'm just, it's something that never came up at the time. And so as I'm trying to think about piecing together an employee of this level, I'm trying to figure out if there's opportunities for us to pull other budget considerations into this to fully fund the benefits that I think we already easily established at the beginning of the meeting.
yeah, and I don't want to, I mean, obviously there was a, Justin had set up to put some money in reserves before I took over, and I've tried to honor that and keep going. I don't want to just do that every year. That's eventually going to run out or quicker than we think. It's going to have to be a big consideration how to fund the increase next year. These figures, as we stand over to get us through 2021, and that's what I wanted to show.
Question on money movement. Don't we pay salary out of the water and sewer reserve, water and sewer fund? We don't pay
this is
salary out of reserve.
Correct. So what this was meant to do, the budget right now, the budget was to transfer 25,000 from water to water reserve,
For what purpose was
to
that?
have a reserve for when we have a project. Like when we did the Second Street project, we replaced all the pipes to build our reserves up, because our reserves are based, So instead of doing 25, what
We
we
just transfer less.
transfer less, which we do anyway sometimes. This is just what was budgeted. This is what, but in the end of the year, there's been many a times where we can't, because the bill, something came up or popped up where we said, well, we planned for that. So then we amend the budget at the end of the year to address that,
That's clear.
what we do.
And some of these budgeted amounts to go into reserves were, there was more there this year than there had been. Just to try to see if we could get through the year and then still were able to transfer that much, then we would, but just as Justin just explained, that doesn't always happen, and I didn't know that it would this year for sure either. Even if we didn't take some of this money that we were gonna transfer into reserves out and give it to salaries, we may still not have made it. We still may not have put it.
That clears it up. Thank you.
Yep.
This appears to require a motion for salary.
Yeah, yeah.
It says he has a class A CDL. Does his, didn't we say that his brother does not have a CDL?
Does have CDL.
Does have.
They both have CDLs.
Okay.
Who's the older brother?
Derek is older, I believe. I actually didn't ask him his age, but from talking to both of them, that's why.
Has a mustache.
Yeah, he's got a beard.
Okay, he's older than me.
He's applying for position 1 or position 2?
This would be position 2. And you'll see that that's changed on a couple documents that we've seen recently, and probably will continue to go that way, just as a numbering system versus a supervisor and a helper or any other terminology that was used. So neither one of the one does not supervise or is over number 2. That's just what I use to identify them.
The only thing, of higher date might dictate vacation.
Yeah, it could play into,
I think is all that.
yeah, a little bit of, if it ever came to that, I guess they would have
Seniority.
yeah, seniority.
So you said that $400 a month right now is going to cover the water distribution certification we don't have.
No,